15 seconds to describe Much Ado About Nothing.
Claudio falls in love with Hero. Beatrice and Benedict already had a thing together. Their friends trick them into confessing their loves for each other. Then John the Bastard tricks Claudio into thinking Hero was disloyal. She faints at their wedding. Everyone thinks she's dead. She's not dead. He goes to marry her cousin. It's actually her. And Beatrice and Benedict get married.
I mean, at the end of the play, it's in the title. It's pretty much a play about nothing. But it's absolutely hilarious. It's about friendship. It's about love. It's about trust and betrayal. It's just a must-watch.
Romeo and Juliet in 15 seconds.
It's about two star-crossed lovers who will fight and do anything to be together, no matter the costs.
Romeo falls in Juliet, they meet at a party. Romeo's really good with his friends. Juliet's got the nurse, who's like a mother figure. They fall in love. Romeo kills her cousin and then gets banished.
It's got death, you've got fights, you've got everything. It's everything all rolled up into one and spoken in Shakespearean. Juliet goes through a massive transition from the start to the end of the play. She starts off as a really young, naive, innocent, childish character who doesn't really know much about the outside world, and what she does know is what she's read in books and what's been told to her by people who might not have her best interests at heart. So she kind of reminds me of like Rapunzel in that way. She's been like kept away from the world and is very innocent and unaware of the things that are happening around her, which is completely different to how she is at the end of the play, where she becomes this like brave, strong, independent woman who knows exactly what she wants and what she has to do to get that.
Romeo is a complicated character. I mean, everyone knows who he is. He is the main, his name is the title, as well as Juliet. And everyone thinks that he's just this heartless, like, loving, just head over heels in love, but there's a lot more depth to him. On one side, yes, he does love Juliet and he does follow his heart, like with Rosaline and Juliet and all of the others. He's very much heart-led forward. But at the same time, he's got that different side of him. You see the anger, particularly in the scene with Tybalt. And the scene, he completely snaps when he loses his friends. Like, I think the main thing that Romeo is passionate about, as well as love, is friendship. Like his relationships between Benvolio and Mercutio. So when Mercutio is killed in front of him by Tybalt, you just see that totally different side of him as he turns around and just, well, kills Tybalt.
Her love and passion is a very big driving force that affects all the characters, whether it directly affects them or whether it affects them in after effects. Her love and like passion for being with this boy like transcends anything else, any other thing she might have wanted earlier on. And I think that it ends up in the end her love inspiring everyone else to make peace and make love out of a hatred and a war that has been going on for however long. And I think that is solely down to Juliet and Romeo's determination and passion and love for each other, and Juliet's love for everything and her willingness to see the good in everything.
So much goes on in this play that it's kind of hard to keep up with, but something for certain, you can definitely see the change in Benedict throughout the play. From the start being a very immature, ignorant character who hates the sense of love and will never be in love with someone, even though he kind of likes Beatrice, to falling in love with her because of his trustworthy mates, and then going to marry her at the end. It's such a good story to see Benedict flip and change throughout the whole play due to his connections through his best friends who he's gone to war with and fought with. So he's created a very good bond and trust with them. So when they pull the prank on telling him, like, pranking him in Beatrice and how she loves him, he falls instantly for it, which is so funny to see. And it really changes him. And then with the character of Beatrice, He's always had that back and forth banter with her, and it just reignites to a fantastic relationship by the end.
I think Beatrice is so important to the play because she's constantly fighting Benedict. They're constantly having an argument, saying shady stuff to each other. But in my opinion, she wins most of the arguments. So seeing her put him in his place it brings a really nice feeling to the play, and seeing the wit between those two and the connection between those two characters is really nice. But also when you see this vulnerable side of her compared to the sarcastic fun side of her, I think it makes her a very complex character, and you can really relate to her in that sense.
Now, the most important scene for Benedict, I think, is when he's talking to Beatrice and just spills out that he loves her, because that is completely like not in character for Benedict. It's like a complete change. He would never do that, and I think that's where his character has that vital change and is a big turning point for him. He's just confessed to someone he loves them, and that's just completely out of the ordinary. So it really defines his character and changes it until the end of the play.
I think the most important scene for Beatrice is scene 11, because you finally see a vulnerable side to her which she doesn't let you see. And in my opinion, when you only see a character laughing, joking around, being sarcastic, finally seeing that vulnerable side to them makes it so much more impactful, and means you can really empathise with her and really relate to her. Also in this scene, she finally admits her love for Benedict and he says it back. Obviously this is such an important moment for her because she's loved him the whole time, so finally to be able to say it out loud, be able to admit it and know he feels the same way is just amazing for her. It's such a big relief. Also, Beatrice is a very strong-minded person and she doesn't back down to the men in the play. She's constantly arguing with Benedict, making fun of him. She's always sticking up for herself. So when she says in this scene, "Oh, if I were a man," it's really hurtful to hear her say that and to finally feel like she can't fight for herself. She can't do this thing because she's a woman. So to finally hear that, I think it's actually important because it shows that when she is sticking up for herself, when she is arguing with Benedict, it's not easy. It's not easy to stick up for herself, but she does it. She does it every day and she continues to do it.
I think there's two. Obviously when she meets Romeo, sees Romeo for the first time in scene 5, I think it is, where they share the sonnet, "Shall I profane my worthiest hand?" I think that is obviously very important because it's the first time they see each other. It's what kickstarts the whole story. So I think that is very important. And then another scene I think is very important is when she makes the decision after the nurse and like Capulet and Lady Capulet have told her that she has to get married. She makes that decision to go, "No, I'm not doing that. I'm living my life how I want to live my life," and that means being with Romeo. So I think that's pretty amazing thing to do in that time period, and with her family dynamic and the dynamic that the play was written in, and then the time that the play was set in, and the country and all the circumstances are just going against her, and for her to just turn around and be like, "No, I'm going to do what I want," I just think is one of my favourite things to play.
The most important scene for Romeo would probably be the fight scene against Tybalt. I think that is his most important scene due to the fact that that's where his life changes. So yes, you've got the other important scenes where he like falls in love with Juliet and kills himself, but that's the turning point. Like that's when he snaps and you see a different side of him. And if he didn't do that, then him and Juliet could possibly have lived happily ever after, rather than him getting banished and then them killing himself. So I think that's the most important scene because that starts the spiral that both Romeo and Juliet then go through from there.